We all were, where's Keegan and Maddie? Where's Keegan and Maddie? We were calling them, we were texting them, we were, no answers.
In May of 2022, 27-year-old Bryan Kohberger graduates from DeSales University. He's seen in this commencement video getting a master's degree in criminal justice.
My name is Josh Ferraro. I knew Bryan Kohberger from our time at DeSales University. We paired up for this long project. We were all picking partners, and he was someone who was still there. So I said, hey, do you want to be my partner? And yeah, that's how we met. He was like, yeah, my mission is to be a cop. It's something I want to do. But he didn't delve too much into his personal life. This guy's a lonely guy, keeping to himself. I invited him to one of my parties one time. He's like, no, I'm good, man. I'm like, all right, the offer's there, but no problem. It's just trying to be nice.
One of the classes the two men share as undergrads is psychological sleuthing, and it's taught by the renowned professor of forensic psychology, Dr. Catherine Ramsland.
My area of expertise is extreme offenders, serial killers, mass murderers, but primarily serial killers.
2020 spoke with Dr. Ramsland back in 2019 about her work studying the serial killer known as BTK.
I think BTK is a very useful example of somebody who can grow up in a fairly normal childhood and become a serial killer.
In that class, you study mass murders, you study serial killers, and she really delves into the psyche of their mind. Bryan Kohberger was really, really invested in the class. He took really quick notes and he'd ask a lot of questions. His eyes really opened up when he's asking a question or getting to the answer, talk about Jeffrey Dahmer or BTK or Ted Bundy. He was very proud of his intellect.
While at DeSales, Kohberger conducts a Reddit survey for an academic research project, looking to understand the mind of a criminal.
He put an online request to speak to convicted criminals to discuss the emotions they were feeling and decision-making that they went through when they were committing crimes. How did they choose their victims, all this stuff.
In June of 2022, Kohberger moves across the country to Pullman, Washington, pursuing a PhD in criminology at Washington State University.
The University of Idaho and Washington State University are located just 7 miles from each other. The student body are constantly traversing to come over to the different areas, whether it be for classes or social.
So it's definitely a crossover with the two universities. We're all one big community.
At 27 years old, Kohberger has never lived on his own before, and he moves across the country and lives here in this off-campus apartment complex. He spends this summer exploring the region, taking some of those selfies just released by authorities, and making several trips across the state line into Moscow. His cell phone records would later show that his phone pinged off a tower in that area 23 times in the months before the murders. He even gets pulled over one night in August.
Hey there, I stopped you going a little fast.
He's accused of speeding on the Pullman-Moscow highway.
Were you wearing your seatbelt when I stopped you? No. That's no good.
Just being honest with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Guys, there's absolutely no point in being honest.
After the officer tells Kohberger he's getting a $10 seatbelt citation, Kohberger has some questions for the officer.
I'm obviously honest with this. I have to look at those wearing the seatbelt. You don't have to call that. Say that when I think about that, right?
Kohberger accepting the citation.
All right, have a good night.
Tell me what the internship was that Bryan Kohberger applied for.
So it was actually part of WSU's criminal justice PhD program, where the student would be embedded in the police department They can have research.
How would you describe how he communicated with you?
Just awkward, just a little bit socially inept, perhaps. I didn't feel he could develop rapport and trust with my staff. He didn't really speak in a fluid conversational manner. And so for those reasons, I didn't think he'd be a good fit for us.
But Kohberger does get a position as a teaching assistant at the university, which helps pay for his tuition.
He was the TA for my criminal justice 420 class, which was criminal procedures. He was a little bit more strict with his grading. He gave several comments of feedback, like saying, oh, this is a little bit too broad, this is not descriptive enough, stuff like that.
Bryan Kohberger was pretty quiet. He didn't really talk too much. He kind of didn't really look at us directly, and he just seemed really kind of awkward.
And outside of class, Kohberger doesn't appear to be very social.
He was a loner.
Jared and Heather Barnhart analyzed Kohberger's digital life, including his cell phone and computer records for investigators.
He had 18 total contacts in his phone. One person was labeled as maintenance and another was AT&T. There were no texts to friends, it was just his parents.
He called them mother and father, even through text message. He would say, "Mother, where is father? Why isn't father answering me?" And she would respond, "Your dad is in the garage, Bryan, he's working." It was all mother and father, hours of talking, text messaging. And we found all those selfies.
Like very much staged selfies trying to catch himself in a certain manner. It's not weird that he was taking selfies. The weird part is that he never did something with it. He didn't take a selfie to send it to someone else.
As the semester progresses, instructors at WSU start to raise concerns about Kohberger's conduct in the program.
Kohberger started to get a really bad reputation on campus.
Sometime in November, I remember the professor saying, hi, so I'm switching some of my TAs. He didn't get any more in depth.
He didn't seem to respect female professors, was showing up late to class, having some weird social problems where he would block doorways when students were trying to talk to him.
They felt uncomfortable around him. They felt that he would try to, at times, trap them.
And there were lots of allegations that he was bothering girls, and this is especially problematic when there's a power dynamic.
There was a common complaint of he's very controlling, that he's manipulative, that he treated women a certain way compared to men. Disrespect, he just had an odd, strange behavior.
The university was onto him. The professor said, we need to cut funding from this guy. If we give him a PhD, he's going to become a professor, and we're going to end up seeing on the news that he's stalking women or he's committing some kind of crime.
He received an email describing that he was on a performance improvement plan with the university in this role. It was somewhat satisfactory, but there were some problems.
WSU did not intend to have him back as a teaching assistant.
He was starting to really lose control of his life, kind of spinning out.
Away from home, isolated. Like a sick way of carrying out his thesis.
Where's she at?
Hunter Johnson came up to me and I was like, where's Ethan and Zen? And he's like, they're not here anymore. I'm like, what do you mean they're not here anymore? He's like, okay, I think they were murdered last night.
He was like, yeah, all four. We were like, what? It just made no sense.
Now the murders of those 4 college students from the University of Idaho.
And now, what happened minute by minute? You go into Xana's room. What did you see?
Stabbing is close, personal, long-term. You've got to be committed.
The number of times that he was stabbed, there's no sugarcoating it.
The first person to find them.
As soon as you get there, you know something's wrong.
And a survivor who saw the killer in the house.
The third time she opens her door, she sees a male figure.
I just took the phone off the because I knew what to do.
Now, just released inside his home and his mind.
He was on a website called Serial Killer Timelines, and he just went down this list and clicked one after another after another.
And the police body camera from the crime scene.
I think we have a homicide. Secure the outside first.
he made an absolutely critical mistake.
What was the target? Just over the hill is the University of Idaho campus. This is Greek Row, the Sigma Chi house right there. And as you cross the street, you enter that off-campus housing. And this area in particular is really popular. Students sort of pass down the houses from generation to generation. And in August of 2022, this is where 5 young girls moved in together. They're full of optimism, excited about life. And they're posting videos showing all of it online.
We just called it the older girls' house. Maddie stayed there, and then Kaylee moved there. And then Xana moved there, and then Bethany Diller moved there.
And the 6th housemate was Kaylee's golden doodle. His name was Murphy.
She was really excited to have the house dog, that's what she called it.
Nothing more to do with Michael. The King Road house was a 3-story white house, right in the middle of Party Central. The house is 3 levels. It has 6 bedrooms, 2 on each floor. Bethany's bedroom is on the 1st floor. Xana and Dylan's bedrooms are on the 2nd floor, along with the kitchen and the sliding glass door leading out to the porch. Kaylee and Madison's bedrooms are on the 3rd floor. And Ethan was over at the King Road house a lot.
It was always friends of Ethan that would go over, friends of Xana, friends of Kaylee and Maddie. There was never anybody who shouldn't have been there.
People didn't really have any interest in going into houses where they didn't know anybody. It was a party neighborhood, just in the sense that, like, you walked over to that area on Friday and Saturday nights, listening for where people might be at, and then you see someone you know, you wander over.
It's Saturday, November 12th. It's the last home game for the University of Idaho Vandals. Celebration is in the air. Students start tailgating early.
We had a lot of pre-games before the football games. If the game was early, we would try and wake up early. Xana would usually be FaceTiming me, trying to wake me up, be like, hurry up, like, let's go.
I had gotten a text from Ethan being like, why aren't you here yet? So I was like, okay, I won't keep you waiting any longer.
The house on King, it was the cutest place to take pictures. Like, you could go on the 3rd floor patio.
That patio was the scene of so many happy moments. Maddie's mom, Karen Laramie, shared those moments in the Prime Video docuseries, One Night in Idaho, The College Murders.
Kaylee texted me with the picture of Maddie on her shoulders, just loving this amazing happy moment. I called Maddie, and she put me on FaceTime. And then I was having a conversation with all of them.
Kaylee Gonzalez posted this last photo to Instagram, writing, "One lucky girl to be surrounded by these people every day."
We were with our whole friend group, which was a normal weekend for us, just hanging out with our friends. And then from there, we all kind of split off.
And we were like, bye, I love you. Gave each other a hug.
The triplets, they went to Maisie's formal. And Xana just waited for Ethan, probably.
Ethan spent the beginning part of that night at the Betty's Ball with his sister. From there, he left with me back to Sigma Chi.
The party continued after the formal, and Ethan really wanted you to come party.
So he started off by texting me, I think he said, dog, come hang out. We all want you here. And it was like, spam texting me, and I said, I'm going to bed, I think. He was like 9. Or I'm not gonna go. And then he said, love you. And I didn't even respond to that. I think I was asleep by then.
And the I love you kind of stood out though.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Because you didn't just normally text that to each other.
After the game, Kaylee and Maddie head down to the Corner Club. It's a big hangout for college students. They're having some drinks, hanging out with friends. And then they decide they need a snack, so they head downtown and they order mac and cheese from the grub truck.
We live in this world right now where there are cameras everywhere. So we know that Kaylee and Maddie were at the food truck around 1:30 in the morning.
Maddie was running around in that huge jacket, hugging people. Kaylee was on her phone just laughing at Maddie. And she was just smiling. They were happy. They were so happy.
Maddie and Kaylee get a ride back to the King Road house using a ride share.
And by 2 a.m., everyone's home. They're settling in for the night.
It's like a sleepover. Kaylee sleeps in Maddie's bed, just like they've done since they were kids.
But Xana stays up.
Xana orders DoorDash, and it gets delivered to the King Road house a little after 4 a.m.
She takes it up to the kitchen, puts some of her food onto a plate, and she's eating that in her bedroom. She's on social media, the latest at 4:12, and just shortly after that.
Everything seemed so normal in that home on King Road. But by the next morning, nothing would ever be the same.
Emily got a call from Dylan around 11-ish. That's when I felt like I needed to go over.
And then what happened next?
I went into the house.
We were complete panic.
This is real.
By 2 a.m., all the roommates are back home and settling in for the night. Police say around 3 a.m., shortly after leaving his apartment and heading towards Moscow, Bryan Kohberger turns his cell phone off.
We can see Kohberger's car on footage captured by a surveillance camera that was at the neighbor's house. He keeps circling the area. He's making multiple passes at the house.
Well, we believe that Bryan Kohberger entered the house sometime shortly after his last seen on the video. Somewhere probably around 4:10 a.m.
Police say Kohberger entered through a sliding glass door in the back of the house. Investigators believe Xana was in her room with her boyfriend Ethan asleep in her bed, Dylan's across the hall, Bethany downstairs, and on the 3rd floor, Kaylee and Maddie had fallen asleep together in Maddie's room.
Xana was up. We see activity from her watch of just steps that were taken. We know that she's eating. She's on social media at 4:12 and just shortly after that.
After entering the house, investigators believe Kohberger walked through the kitchen and went upstairs to the 3rd floor, where he found Kaylee and Maddie together, asleep.
Kaylee and Maddie were both killed very quickly, but they were stabbed repeatedly many times.
Stabbing is close, personal, long-term, violent action. You've got to be committed to do a homicide.
What investigators think happened is that Xana heard the commotion.
At some point, Xana comes, we believe, up the stairs. Bryan Kohberger either hears something or he hears the stairs. Something alerts him and takes him away from what he's doing in that bedroom.
Investigators say Xana turned and ran, and that Kohberger followed, chasing her downstairs to her bedroom.
Xana, after that initial contact in the doorway, she's fighting him. We know that because she has defensive wounds all over herself. She fought like hell. And we think at that point, he realizes that there's a 4th person, and that's Ethan that's in the bed. So he reaches over and stabs Ethan and killed Ethan instantly. He continues to fight with Xana and ends up on the floor where ultimately he does finally kill her.
At 4:17 a.m., less than 10 minutes after investigators believe Bryan Kohberger entered the house, the neighbor's surveillance camera captures what police describe as a loud thud, the sound of a whimper, and a dog barking. That camera is just about 50 feet from Xana's bedroom.
In Xana's room, some things were pushed around, were moved around, and I think that's something that you're probably hearing on the video.
Because she was fighting.
Right.
After Kohberger walks out of Xana's room, he then comes face to face with another one of her roommates. It's Dylan.
Dylan was awakened by just some type of noises. Initially, she thought it was the dog, Murphy.
Then she thought she heard a male voice say, "I'm here to help you."
We believe that is Bryan Kohberger saying that to Xana. He's doing something to try to calm her, to make her relax of who he is and why he's in this residence. Dylan, as she had overheard multiple things throughout this time period, she had opened her door a couple different times.
The third time she opens her door, she sees a male figure.
The description was a thin, tall individual wearing a mask, almost described as a basketball player, physique, and bushy eyebrows.
She momentarily saw him, and then he turned and he left the residence.
He knows people were awake, probably believing at some point somebody called the police. I've got to get out of here. The fight was there, could have just wiped it. We will never know what made him pass that door up and head out.
After that, Dylan is terrified. She starts texting Bethany, her roommate. "Did you hear that? I'm trying to call the other roommates. They're not answering."
You've got somebody who had been drinking, was in and out of slumber, and somebody walks through in the middle of the night and still wonders in her own mind, did she see it or did she dream it?
She makes a mad dash for Bethany's room and decides to run downstairs and spend the rest of the night with Bethany.
As night turns into day, everything in Moscow is still quiet. But investigators say that Bryan Kohberger is awake. He's active. That includes spending more than an hour and a half on the phone with his mom and posing for a selfie, giving a thumbs up. Police say just after 9 a.m., Kohberger is on the move and he's headed back to 1122 Cambridge.
He's not seen anything on the news. I think he certainly would expect this is going to be everywhere immediately. So I think that his curiosity has absolutely gotten to him. And so he goes back to the area for all his training, for all of his things that he studied, crime scene and serial killers, PhD program for criminology. He made an absolutely critical mistake in that process.